De repente en una tienda yo vi un muñeco triste, lloraba sin cesar, pobrecito. Yo me dije, cuando me acerqué a la tienda, el muñeco era barriga.
Hola, bienvenido a Jody Shirts Off the Cuff. Esta noche es Sábado Gigante.
Y la dueña me gritó,
No más. That's right, everybody. That's right, everybody. No más Sábado Gigante. That's right. That is the official news from the nice folks. Who makes Sábado Gigante? Is that Telemundo? But yes, no more Sábado Gigante for you guys, or for me, or for any of us. The announcement, I believe, came in officially last night. They actually officially, I think, announced it on the show Sábado Gigante last night. Last show to be aired September 19th, or el 19 de septiembre. No más Sábado Gigante. Apparently, I sound like a Spanish George Takei when I speak Spanish. Yes. So, yeah. And now, some of you guys listening out there may not have any idea what the fuck it is I'm talking about. Sábado Gigante. What the heck is that? Is that a cult? In a way, it is when I really think about it. God, so for those of you who don't know, Sábado Gigante is a Spanish language variety show that lasts 3 hours and airs every Saturday for the last 53 years. Okay, we're talking about a show that's been on the air longer than I've been alive. You know, people around here, where they're all super happy and proud. Ooh, Saturday Night Live hit 40 years. I'm like, that's bullshit compared to this show. Okay, Sábado Gigante, man, 53 years. So it's a big deal. And I gotta tell you, I mean, when I was a kid growing up, and my parents, my mother, I don't count any of those dudes that happened to be, banging her at the time to be considered a parent, And I say that not just because my mother was a whore, but because the men in my mother's life when I was growing up, they either stayed way too fucking long, or I don't remember their first names, so not that she's a whore. But you'd call my mama a hoe. But no, we used to watch, and it was such an interesting show, so very different than anything that was being done in English language programming, because, you would have the host of the show, the one and only Don Francisco, who would host the show. He actually came up with the show long time ago. Back he's native from Chile, and he started out with a show that actually aired, I think, on Sundays, and then the year after that it moved to Saturdays, and it's just been there since. Sábado Gigante. And that's the way they say it. It was always a big deal. It was always a big... If you want to know what Sábado Gigante is like, honestly, if you've never seen it, go watch old episodes of I Love Lucy, where Desi Arnaz's character, Ricky Ricardo, is at the club, and you'll see, he'll be singing, and he'll be dancing, and there'll be comedy sketches, and there'll be, chicks in, really flimsy little outfits showing off their tits and ass. That's Sábado Gigante, okay? That's basically what it is. And it was it was such an incredibly fun show, and very popular to this day. I mean, here in the United States, when Sábado Gigante is broadcast, it brings in 2 million viewers, which is good and isn't good depending on your point of view. 2 million people. 2 million people watch out of a country of over 300 million. That's not a big deal. If this was TV 10 years ago, when we were still, for the most part, decently limited on our content. Now, 10 years later, when you have a zillion channels on TV, you have even more channels and things to watch on the internet, through your phone, on the computer. 2 million viewers is pretty fucking awesome, actually, in today's market. But the people that run Sabado Gigante decided that it's time to let it go. Truthfully, the host Don Francisco did not really want to kill the show off. He was actually looking forward to passing it on to his daughter, so that she could host it. But I don't know much about her, but I do know, just from my point of view, it would lose something, because there was always something that was about Don Francisco himself that really sold the show. I mean, the show it's cheesy, it's loud, it's bright. It's like modern television in Russia, actually, if you want to know the truth. You want to, if by any chance you're Russian and listening to this, go ahead and watch your New Year's countdown TV shows. Okay, my girlfriend, who's Russian, she gets them every year. We watch them for like 2 months, and every single fucking show is just a Russian version of Sábado Gigante. It truly is, with the comedians and the guests and the singing and the dancing and the flimsy outfits. It's just, that's what really is like. It's just so much fun, but it's one of those the hangovers from a bygone era. It truly is, because when you watch, modern variety shows in English, stuff. Let's say Saturday Night Live. It could be said to be a sketch comedy show. It in a way it is. For the most part, I suppose. But they'll also have guests come on the show. They'll have singers. They'll have some special acts occasionally. Comedians will come on, But nothing really in American TV really compares to this kind of thing. The Latinos still do this kind of thing. The Eastern Europeans still do this kind of thing. It's what they grew up with. And for the most part, aside from the sheer number of people that have to work these shows, they're not particularly expensive shows to produce, because it's not like you're spending money on special effects and shit like that. You're not necessarily getting big name actors. Anybody that comes on Sábado Gigante wants to be there, to spread their brand, basically. So, and I'm talking, and people have been on Sábado Gigante, all right? Lots of, Tony Bennett was on Sábado Gigante, okay? President Barack Obama, when he was campaigning, was on Sábado Gigante, all right? He tried to reach out to the Latinos. Let me be clear. I want you Spics voting for me. They didn't say that, but that's what he was going for. See, now, according to the LA Times, Sábado Gigante, the Spanish-language TV staple that brought millions of Latino families together with its madcap contests and cheesy sketch comedy bits, will end its record 53-year run September 19th on Univision. So not Telemundo, it was Univision, my bad. Led by the Carnival Barker host Don Francisco, the Miami-based Giant Saturday looked as if the Gong Show, Let's Make a Deal, and Saturday Night Live were put into a kitschy blender and served up a jumbo 3-hour weekly program. Wow. The show is broadcast in more than 40 countries and boasts tens of millions of weekly viewers, including about 2 million in the United States. I said that. Most of them in Miami, New York, and Los Angeles. What are they trying to say? No Spics in Wyoming? What? Now, by comparison, NBC Saturday Night Live typically draws about 6.2 million viewers each week. So now that tens of millions of viewers around the world, 2 million right here in the United States, or about a third of what Saturday Night Live brings in. Which, when you consider that the target audience is actually Latinos, I think 2 million is a pretty damn good rate. Apparently it connected well with Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Mexicans, Dominicans. You know what? It was a show that all Latinos could watch, enjoy, and understand, and for just a little while, not hate each other. If you're wondering what that's about, consider this. Walk up to any Puerto Rican and just tell them that, hey, you're Dominican, aren't you? You're lucky he doesn't punch you in the face. Walk up to any Salvadoran and tell him he looks Bolivian. He'll punch you in the face. Contrary to what some people may believe about the Caribbean and Latin American culture in general, we tend to not like each other, especially if we live in our countries of origin. Now, if we move somewhere else, like for instance, we move to the United States, it doesn't matter where we're from, now we're united in the fact that we're Spanish-speaking tan people, and we like Sábado Gigante. Now, I don't know how many of you guys that watch Sábado Gigante know this. Now, this is something that, caught me by surprise, but Don Francisco, the host there, 74 years old, born in Chile, that's not his real name. It's not. It's not, actually. His real name is Mario Kruschberger. Yes, I got that right. The leader of Sábado Gigante, the inventor of Sábado Gigante, the face, the voice of Sábado Gigante is a guy named Kruschberger from Chile. Now, I know you might be thinking to yourself, I don't know of any people named Kruschberger from Chile, do you? I never heard of that. Well, you know what? This goes back to World War II and a fun group of people known as the Nazis. Very, very lighthearted, fun, easy-go-lucky people. When the shit hit the fan in World War II and the Nazis were like, oh, fuck, we're losing, a lot of them jumped ship and swam on over to South America. And just took up residency in a lot of Latin American countries. Yeah, it's true. It's true. There's a lot of Latin American, South American countries. They came on over. They wanted to avoid, being prosecuted for war crimes. God, you start a world war and kill 6 million Jews, and everybody gets all in a huff. Well, yeah, they do actually. And so a bunch of Nazis just escaped Germany with as much loot as they could carry that they most likely stole, and just went over to South America, Latin America, hell, probably in the Caribbean. Just took up residence and made believe as if it never happened. They were never there. They were not part of that, and then just moved down, and just became Chileans and Brazilians and Ecuadorians and all that shit. And that's how you have a name like Kruschberger, which that's what I've always loved about the Nazis. They're total hypocrites. They were. It's like, we are the master race. We are the only pure race around. But in order to spread our message of everybody else sucks but us, we're willing to ally ourselves with these guinea-wop dagos and these slanty-eyed chinks, also known as Italians and the Japanese. So apparently, it's like, yeah, we're the master race and all, but if we have to work with chinks and dagos, well, then fine, we'll do it. Okay, we'll do it. Okay, we're still the master race. We lost the war. We're going to regroup. We're going to move to Chile. Start banging those dirty brown bitches and spread our Nazi seed all over the place so that someday one of them can rise from the rubble and become the world's greatest TV talk show and variety program host. And we will name him Don Francisco Sigael. Now, before we start writing letters, I don't know for a fact that Don Francisco, also known as Mario Kruschberger, is a descendant of Nazis. I'm just saying, I'm willing to bet 100 years ago there wasn't anybody in Chile with the name Kruschberger. Just saying. Anyway, like I said, the show will end its run come September 19th. I will try to make sure to watch. I will. I wanted to watch last night, but I got sidetracked by some other stuff. And there you go. Oh, yeah, quick public service announcement for you guys before we go on break. What's that? I should just go on break now? Yeah, my producer, the non-existent person in the room is telling me we should go on break. Yeah, we're going to take a break now. Today's music is brought to you by Papo Ross in honor of Sábado Gigante. His first song was Muñeco Bandido, and here's his next one, Mujer No Es Cualquiera. I'm Joe the Shirt, I'm Off the Cuff, and this is Sábado Gigante. No más.
Andaba solo y delirante, viví aventuras sin detalles, nunca pensé tener amor. Tratando de cambiar el mundo, a mi manera aunque sin rumbo, más tu cariño me quemó. Buscando a ciegas un amante, toqué 1000 puertas en la calle para vencido terminar. Y fuiste tu el último intento, amor que hace cambiar el tiempo, descansa en mí para vivir.
José Guayabera en Sábado Gigante. Also known as Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff, talking about Sábado Gigante. I love Sábado Gigante. I'm sure you guys did too. Watch, I bet you the ratings for their last show is just going to shoot through the fucking roof. Oh my god. Okay, public service announcement, a PSA for you guys. Please listen in to tomorrow's show. That's April 20th. Tomorrow at 4:20 p.m. Pacific Coast time. So all you kids out there on the East Coast, I'm not going to do the math for you, okay? I'm so sick and tired of every time I get a phone call from my mother or one of my sisters. They're like, it's 1:30 over here. What time is it over there? I don't know why they're Jewish all of a sudden. But yeah, but they always do that. To this day, I've been living out here now, good God, close to 20 years. And to this day, my mother and my sisters are still, it's like, well, it's 1:30 over here. What time is it over there? I'm like, it's 3-hour differential. You guys are ahead, so figure it out. All right, fine, I'll tell you. God. It'll be 7:20 your time on the East Coast, all right? 3 hours. 4:20 over here. Or maybe I should do 2 shows, one at 1:20 here and 4:20 here. Do I have that kind of time? I don't know. But yes, I will be doing a 4:20 show tomorrow because it is the unofficial International Get Stoned Day, 4:20, April 20th at 4:20. And I will be getting stoned on the air. It's true. It will be live. Okay, I will be smoking weed. I will be doing some big-ass bong rips tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to be high as a fucking monkey tomorrow on the air. For this, I'm going to have as much prepared ahead of time. Stories, music, break times, and I'm hoping that my girlfriend will be able to assist me in that because, let's face it, you can't let me get stoned and then expect me to, be overtly responsible, do you? I mean, you can't do that, But I hope that you guys will join me. I will not be stoned before I get on the air. I'm going to be completely straight when I get on the air for the intro music, and me talking to you guys. And then I'm doing a bong rip, and then we're going to go take it from there. All right? So please listen in for that. 4:20, I'm at 4:20 on 4:20 with Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff. All right, then. And it's time now for celebrity birthdays. You've had a celebrity birthday from yesterday. Let's see. Whose birthday do you share? Let's see. As of yesterday, Saturday, April 18th, Kourtney Kardashian is 36 years old. Okay, real quick. How the fuck is she a celebrity exactly? I still don't get it. Her reality show, does she have a clothing line? And is she fucking somebody else that's actually famous? I mean, I don't know anything, honestly, more than like a couple of quick bullet points about the Kardashians. All I know is that they are rich, they marry celebrities, they're obnoxious, and have really big asses. I mean, those are the bullet points I got, all right? I know that somehow they're connected to P. Diddy and Bruce Jenner. Neither of those things, being anything to brag about, exactly. So, go fig. Turning 53 yesterday was the one and only Jeff Dunham, as funny a comic with the puppets as you can ever find. Talk show host Conan O'Brien turned 52 years old. Actress America Ferrera turned 31. One and only James Woods turned 68 years old. Very funny Rick Moranis turned 62. Serious actor in music videos, Eric Roberts turned 59. The one and only Will of Will and Grace, Eric McCormick, turned 52 years old. And Jane Leaves from a bunch of things now. Hot in Cleveland, and you may remember her as Daphne from Frasier. It turned 54 years old yesterday. We'll do today's birthdays a little later. Oh my God! So what is going on? Well, there's a lot going on, actually. Now that I think about it, if you are politically inclined in any way, shape, or whatsoever, you know that one of the biggest deals going on has been the whole Obamacare thing. Everybody's bitching about Obamacare, and it's also, by the way, better known as the Affordable Health Care Act, not Obamacare. That's not like the official title of it, despite what the Republicans like to say about it, the GOP. And it's been a big deal because if you're on one side of it, you are a poor American that has no health care, doesn't have access to doctors, medical care, just pre-treatment. Not even that you're sick, but you want to get yourself checked out. A lot of Americans do not have access to that. Okay, and so Obamacare, as it's called, provides that care. It finally gives them the chance. Okay, and for those of you who are screaming about, it's like, well, you're not going to get the best doctors, you're not going to get the best care. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather get a doctor and some care than no doctor and no care. That's what the people that oppose Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act, always seem to forget. It always slips their mind. They always like to bitch and moan at you that it's like, well, when you do that, you're not going to get the best this, that, the other thing. And I'm like, we don't care because we're getting nothing now. Well, and then of course, if you're on the other side of that, you're the people that already have health care more often than not, and you don't like the idea that your taxes will be used to pay for other people's medical costs. And I'm still of the opinion that it is. I do believe that it is one of it's a government's place to take care of its citizens. I don't mean a welfare state. I don't mean a state where they coddle them and attend to their every fucking little need. I don't think that it's the government's job to give you a job. I really don't. But I think it is in the government's best interest to keep its citizens healthy. Okay, and yeah, you know what? That means that so other people might need to pony up some of that cost. But once again, let's try to remember that the people that are getting the Obamacare, as like the Republicans like to say, okay, you're not getting the best doctor and medical care possible anyway. Okay, it's not like they're signing up for plastic surgery, which I'm sure somewhere that's happened. And it was granted to them. But you know what? That's the exception that proves the rule. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, because it's been a big fight for a couple of years here, is the fact that it seems that Republicans aren't interested in this fight anymore. It seems like they're not talking about it quite as much as they used to, and the reason for that is that despite the fact that I think they now control the House and the Senate, they have a majority. Despite that fact, they know that the next 2 years, they still have to deal with a democratically appointed president, Barack Obama. He's in charge right now, and he's going to be in charge for the next 2 years. All right? And no matter what they do, no matter how many appeals and repeals they try to launch at the Affordable Care Act, they know that no matter what they do, that Barack Obama all he needs to do is veto them. That's it. That's it right there. And even though they may have a majority in the House and Senate, that doesn't mean that they have the necessary number of votes to really change anything. And they know it. And then there's the second problem that's going on, and that is that people have actually been signing up for the Affordable Care Act. They've been signing up for Obamacare, all right? And as of right now, that represents 20 million Americans, okay? Which is a huge number when you consider that this just rolled out last year, you know? And it's a huge number, a small percentage of people, though, as compared to, like, overall, you know, like 20 million people now have Obamacare, you know, as opposed to the 330 million that live, you know, here in the United States. I mean, it doesn't even represent 10% of the population, you know? But that's just starting, okay? It's just starting. So there's going to be more people signing up for it, and they're going to be getting it, they're going to be enjoying it, and then when the Republicans come along and it's time to, you know, try to get a Republican president elected, I'd like to see one of these guys say, I'm going to repeal Obamacare. And all these people with Obamacare are going to go, well, fuck you, I'm voting for the other bitch. And that's what's going to happen. And they know it. And as a matter of fact, a lot of big-name Republicans, check out in your state, could be one of yours, have actually adopted a lot of Affordable Health Care Act. I'm sorry, I hate it when I lose a word. They've adopted a lot of the doctrines in Obamacare, a lot of their methodologies, a lot of their ways of doing things. And in the ones that they haven't decided to adopt, they're looking to find replacements for them, you know, finds ways to tweaking them so that it fits better with the model they're going for. But for the most part, it seems Republicans are letting the Affordable Health Care Act go. They're letting Obamacare go, all right? Because they know that, you know, it's going to be, you know, even if it's going to be hard enough to get a president elected, period. Then add to that, it's going to be, you know, try to get a president elected with a very unpopular stance on health care. Especially now that, like I said, 20 million people have already gotten it. And in 2 years, I predict that number will get up to as high as 100 million people, I think, within the next 2 years. And that represents about a third of the country. And then we're talking real votes. Then we're talking real people, you know, a third of the country, you know, going, you're going to do what with my health care? And so, a lot of them are letting it go. And I don't blame them for that, you know. But and I think sometimes I think that one of the reasons the Republicans hated Obamacare so much is the fact that a Democrat got universal health care passed before they did. You know, I think a lot of time, it's jealousy. You know, it's the green-eyed monster. You know, because the Republicans wanted to be the one, you know, to come up with a plan to make sure that everybody gets health care. But they wanted to do it on their terms and their way, you know. But they didn't. They never did. They never could. And now Barack Obama and his people, they've gotten it done. And I don't think we're going back to the other way. You know, I think sooner or later we're all going to be able to either afford our own health care or we'll have the Obamacare. I have Obamacare. I do. I don't want to give it up. Fuck you. And before we go on break, a little sad news for all you guys out there that love their really, really trashy lingerie and sex toys. Fredericks of Hollywood is closing their brick and mortar stores. Yes. Fredericks of Hollywood Group Inc., a Los Angeles lingerie brand that has been struggling with rival Victoria's Secret for decades now, really. They're giving up the ghost. In 2014, Fredericks of Hollywood operated 94 stores and a catalog business in addition to its website. Well, before you know it, all 94 stores will be closing. So look forward to Fredericks of Hollywood. Maybe you can get a deal on a crotchless panties or double-ended dildo or whatever. According to some analysts, the reason that they're not doing so well is that, you know, the styles are trashy, old, stale, not really provocative anymore. And I've always said lingerie is for the woman anyway. It's not for the dude. It's not. I mean, it's nice. I mean, I appreciate it when the lady puts on a little something, you know, a little teddy, a little lingerie, a little slip or whatever. But honestly, just put on your plaid skirt and put your hair in pigtails, and I'm a happy pig. I'll tell you that right now. And now it's time for a break with more music from Papa Ross. Here's Por qué ahora en Sábado Gigante, Joe the Shirts off the cuff. Be right back.
Solo rodando por el mundo con un dolor profundo y sin poder llorar. Luego la escarcha de los años cubrieron como un baño mi angustia y mi pena. ¿Por qué esperaste tanto tiempo para irte? ¿Por qué dejaste que tu amor me corroyera? Pudiste hacerlo más humano y despedirte más temprano, y mi vida no llena.
Joe the Shirt.
Ahora te vas.
Es Sábado Gigante and Off the Cuff. Welcome back, everybody. Oh my God. So much going on. So glad that you guys are here listening in to the Sábado Gigante show. No más. Jose Guayabera and Sábado Gigante. I just like saying that. You gotta get into it. If you want to say Sábado Gigante, you can't say Sábado Gigante. It's Sábado Gigante. And then start playing really loud, blaring music with half-naked women dancing. That's the only way to do it, honestly. All right, what else we got going on these days? Hello, Jack. My dog Jack's here. I want to talk a little bit about Trevor Noah. And a lot of you are thinking already, who the fuck is Trevor Noah? Well, Trevor Noah is a South African stand-up comedian. He is half black, half white, also known as mixed race, or also known in this country as high yellow. That's right. And he is going to be the new host of The Daily Show. Jon Stewart is leaving, and Trevor is taking over. Now, Trevor has appeared on The Daily Show before as a correspondent. He's done a few bits here and there for them. And it was... Did you hear that slurping sound in the background? That's my dog, who's all of a sudden thirsty as shit. Anyway, so Trevor Noah, it will be the new host. I don't know if it's starting in 2016 or 2017. But Jon Stewart will no longer be with us. He'll be missed, obviously. Now, if you're worried that Trevor's humor isn't going to be snarky enough, don't worry. Okay, I've seen his comedy specials. You can catch them on Netflix, actually. You want to find out what Trevor Noah's like, catch him on Netflix. You'll see it. He will be the first African-American host of the show, following a long line of white Jewish and white Catholic. So it's actually quite a big change. Now, Trevor Noah has come under fire recently after he was picked to host the Daily Show for his style of humor. Now, really quick here, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I'm getting very sick and tired in this country of where they're trying to make it illegal to be funny. That's really what's happening in this country. The politically correct try to make it illegal to be funny. They want to make it illegal to point out the human foibles of our lives, you know? You're not allowed to be sarcastic. You're not allowed to point something out. You're not allowed to mention race or sex or you're not allowed to talk about anything anymore unless it follows what they consider their very strict, politically correct guidelines. And I'm here to say that's horseshit. Now, Noah came under fire for jokes on his Twitter account. I love that, his Twitter account. That many on the social media site are calling sexist and anti-Semitic. Now, I have a particularly good view of this because my girlfriend, first and foremost, well, she's a woman. That's important. And secondly, she's Jewish. Okay, and I read it to her a couple of things that Trevor had written on his Twitter account, and I don't think she really saw anything particularly wrong with anything he was saying. Also realizing he's a comedian, which means that anytime a comedian says anything, assume it's a joke. Don't take it serious. Don't take anything that comes out of a comedian's mouth as something really true and hateful and wrong. They're just full of shit. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, let's see. What do we have here? Now, like many comedians, Trevor Noah pushes boundaries. This is according to the LA Times. He is provocative and spares no one, himself included, said a network statement. Quote, to judge him on his comedy based on a handful of jokes is unfair. Trevor is a talented comedian with a bright future at Comedy Central. According to Trevor Noah himself, quote, to reduce my views to a handful of jokes that didn't land is not a true reflection of my character nor my evolution as a comedian. Now, the hiring of Noah, a biracial 31-year-old comic from South Africa, to replace Stewart was considered surprisingly bold and a forward-thinking move. And I agree, and I support it, actually. Now, let me read to you some of the tweets. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Let's see. Some of the Noah's tweets go back to 2009. So basically, somebody went through, as soon as they heard that Trevor Noah was going to be the new host, they just scoured social media to look for the most damaging, hurtful, negative things they can find. Okay? This is what they came up with. Let's see. One of the quotes here is, behind every successful rap billionaire is as double as rich Jewish man. Okay. Next up. Quote, almost bumped a Jewish kid crossing the road. He didn't look before crossing, but I still would have felt so bad in my German car. Another quote. I like women that don't wear makeup. For me, they're like pizza, still great the next morning. Get drunk and think that I'm sexy. Fat chicks everywhere. Another one. Originally, when men proposed, they went down on one knee, so if the woman said no, they were in the perfect uppercut position. I'm sorry. Anybody that takes these jokes literally does not have a very good sense of humor. I'm sorry. These jokes are mild, incredibly mild jokes. I mean, watch any Comedy Central roast of anybody. Hell, Justin Bieber, I saw him get fucked in his ass on that show. It was funny as hell. Hell, even watch the old Dean Martin roast, which I do, in fact, own a collection of them. They're very funny. It's like, these guys are cruel. They were just mean, and that was the purpose. And one of the things that you do in stand-up comedy when you're being mean is you're poking fun of the idea that somebody takes this seriously, that somebody would actually think that these horrible things are the right thing to do. I mean, at no point in here do I get the idea that Trevor Noah would actually punch a woman in the face if she said no to him during a marriage proposal. Okay? At no time do I really believe that, that why would a Jewish man that's twice as rich as a rap billionaire complain about that fact? I'm sorry, these are innocuous at best. And what's really sad to me is that a lot of these criticisms come from fellow comedians, including Roseanne Barr. Let's see, was it Daniel Tosh wrote, to be fair to Trevor Noah, all foreign comics are at least a decade behind us in what they think is funny. Wrong. From the Anti-Defamation League, issued a gentle rebuke that asked Noah and Comedy Central to aim higher once he takes over the show. Here's a quote from them. We hope he will not cross the line from legitimate satire into offensiveness with jokes calling up anti-Semitic stereotypes and misogyny. That's from the ADL statement. And we hope that he and Comedy Central will make a conscious effort to ensure The Daily Show remains funny and irreverent without trafficking in bigoted jokes at the expense of Jews, other minorities, and women. Wow. In that case, let's just not talk about anything anymore. That's it. We're done. We're just not going to talk about anything that might possibly offend anybody. Fuck it. We're not doing it anymore. And the funniest thing to me is that Jews tell more Jew jokes than anybody else I know. It's hysterical. Women, you know who bashes women more than anybody else? Other women. Women are some of the biggest women bashers on the planet. So yeah, none of that makes any sense to me. It really doesn't. I got a couple of news stories here from the airport. I like to do these every once in a while. Couple of quickies here, actually. Now, despite all the added security at airports since 9/11, and despite all the body scans, the pat-downs, the strip searches, the metal detectors, people are still bringing guns to airports. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, can't be that many, right? It says, according to the LA Times, the TSA said it discovered 2,212 firearms in carry-on bags at 224 airports, which averages out to about 6 a day. About 83% of the confiscated guns were loaded. With last year's numbers represented a 22% increase from 2013, when there was only 1,813 firearms that were discovered. The number of firearms seized at TSA checkpoints has risen nearly every year since 2005. Wow. Amazing. Of the top 10 airports reporting gun seizures, Dallas-Fort Worth led the pack with 120. Well, that's not really shocking. Texas. They love their guns in Texas. As a matter of fact, 3 of the top airports were in Texas, 2 in Houston. And Florida also had 3 airports in the top 10. Okay, so you got cowboys, you got drug dealers. There you go. See, right there. See, that was a racist joke on 2 fronts. And I'm not apologizing for either one. 9 of the top airports were in southern states where there is a culture of guns and a tradition of defending gun rights. TSA agents discovered not just small firearms, but also a grenade and a loaded assault rifle with 3 loaded magazines. This is what people bring into the airport. The agency also said that more than 1,400 firearm components, replica firearms, stun guns, and other similar dangerous objects were discovered. And according to them, in many cases, people simply forgot they had these items. I have traveled many times by plane, and at no point have I ever forgotten my Glock was in my luggage. Actually, I'd have to ask myself, why did I have a Glock in my luggage to begin with? In one instance, the TSA stopped a 94-year-old man who tried to enter the checkpoint at New York's LaGuardia Airport with a loaded .38 caliber revolver clipped to his belt. And finally, on the airport roundup, have you ever wondered about how much money you lose when you travel? And I don't mean like you spend it or it gets stolen, but when you're going through security, you empty out your pockets, all that change that you put in the bin, and a lot of times when you get the bin on the other side, you get your sneakers, you get your computer, you get your phone back, and then you got like 17 cents in the bin, and then you just leave it there. You're like, fuck it, I don't even know why I had 17 cents in my pocket to begin with. Okay. Have you ever wondered how much money that really is over the course of a year? Well, apparently somebody went out and found out. Nationwide, people left $675,000 in loose change in airports in the fiscal year. About About 15% of that right here in California. Passengers at LAX alone lost $41,506.64 while passing through security checkpoints. Followed closely by let's see, San Francisco International Airport at $34,889.63. Now, what happens to all this money? Well, the money is taken in. It's written down, the amount, the date. They try, according to them, they try to get the money to the owners as quickly as possible. I've left change in those bins before. I don't remember anybody running to me at the gate. Sir, you're 17 cents. No, that doesn't. They're lying. But what's done with the money now? Well, as of 2005, Congress gave the TSA agency the ability to just keep the money and use it towards expenditures and running the TSA. All right, so, anytime you leave change in the bin, you're actually contributing to your security. Anyway, and it's now time for our last break of the day. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and it's Sabado Gigante. Sort of. One more song here by Papa Ross, Por qué ahora? Wrong song. I was going to do this song, Amigo. That's better.
Amigo, tú cambiaste mis colores y hoy quiero pienses antes de partir. Tus flores aún viven muy adentro, no las marchites, quizás no quieren morir. Tu fuego ya quemó mis sentimientos, mas no tengo cuerpo, está impregnado junto a ti. Recuerda que en el cielo las estrellas se alejan para darle paso al sol. Llévate todo lo que tú quieras de mí, llévate ese cuerpo de hombre infernal, llévate mi último suspiro de abril, que otra primavera con tus quejidos recordaré. Llévate todo lo que tú quieras de mí, llévate ese cuerpo de hombre infernal, llévate mi último suspiro de abril, que otra primavera con tus quejidos recordaré.
Share the shirts off the cuff.
Amigo.
On Sabado Gigante. Welcome back. Okay, it's our last segment of the show. Thank you for listening in there. Always good to be here. And Jack, please drink more water while I'm on the air. Please, I really enjoy that. Before I move on, though, I will do today's birthdays. Did yesterday's birthdays, now I'll do today's. If your birthday happens to be today, April 19th, you share that birthday with James Franco, who is 37 years old. Kate Hudson is 36. Maria Sharapova is 28. Hayden Christensen, you may remember him as Darth Vader in the new Star Wars movies, is 34. Anakin Skywalker, I guess, if you want to be, technical. Ashley Judd is 47. Tim Curry is 69 years old. Jesse James from reality TV is 46. And the one and only, currently in custody, Suge Knight, is 50. Suge, in some legal to-dos for murder and attempted murder, recently fired his lawyer. And also, one of the witnesses to the assault, one of the guys that was that he attempted to murder, is recently recanted on his testimony, saying that he's not sure if Suge Knight was driving the car. Okay, now, let me tell you a little story about one guy named Dan Price. Dan Price owns his own company. It's called Gravity. He lives in Seattle. He makes $1 million a year. He does. And his company made a profit of about $2.5 million last year. So Dan's doing okay. He's got his business, he's got employees, and he pays them a fair wage of $35,000 a year. That's the average at his company. Okay, So one day he's going for a hike with a friend of his when his friend starts to mention to him that, you know what, they just raised the rent at his apartment building and he's not sure that he can afford to stay there. It's a couple $100 more a month. And at $35,000, which is what his friend makes, he's not really sure he can afford it. And Dan apparently started to think about this. He's like, wow, wait a minute. Most of my employees get paid $35,000 a year. And it's like, and this is a very good friend of mine. I hang out with him, I hike with him, and he's having a tough time. And so it occurred to him then, well, if he's having a tough time, then probably most of my employees are too. And apparently, according to this article, he thought about it and he agonized over it. And then one day he comes into his company and brings all the employees together and lets them know that he is cutting his pay from $1 million a year to $50,000 a year. Now that's a cut in pay. That's a big cut in pay, all right? That's basically you have $1 and you're leaving yourself a nickel. That's what just happened. Okay, this guy decided that, you know, it's if other people can survive on this amount of money or struggle on this kind of $35,000, that, you know what, he should be able to live on $50,000, and he plans on giving himself a raise by the end of the year to $70,000. Okay, and I'm thinking, well, you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, that's good. You know, he can invest the money back into his company. You know, that's good of him. Okay, but it goes beyond that. Because when he brought all of his employees in and let them know that he cut his own pay and let them know that how much it was going to be, he gave them all a raise. And I don't mean like 50 cents an hour kind of raise. I'm talking about the kind of raise that seriously impacts your entire life. He let them know that he not only is he paying himself $50,000 a year, but that he would be paying them $50,000 a year. That would be the new minimum as of right now. Whereas of right now, you're no longer making $35,000 a year. You're making $15,000 more a year. So that percentage will be reflected in their regular paychecks. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, that's great. That's impressive. That's amazing is what that is. And it really is. But it doesn't stop there. Because then he tells them, and by the end of next year, I'm going to make sure that the lowest paid employee here is making $70,000 a year. So everybody, every employee he has, the guy on the bottom of the barrel, the lowest rung on the ladder, is making $70,000. Okay, according to witnesses, the entire place went silent for about 45 seconds and then just erupted in cheers and applause. You know, I mean, for some people, he just doubled their annual salary. I mean, that is literally life-changing, is what that is. That means you can afford a nicer car. You can afford a nicer clothes. You can afford a nicer vacation. You know what? You can afford your life, is what you can do. You can afford to send your kids to a nicer school. You can afford to send them to college. You can afford to buy them that computer they need to keep up with their studies. You can afford, period. That's it. You can just afford, which is a huge, huge deal. And of course, it was met by lots of ta-das and yays by everybody. You know, and by one criticism. Believe it or not, somebody decided to reach out to him and let him know that this is bullshit. And this comes from the one and only Rush Limbaugh. Rush wrote him an email. Let's see. He wrote here that this is pure, unadulterated socialism, which has never worked. That's why I hope this company is a case study in MBA programs on how socialism does not work because it's gonna fail. So he is actually hoping that this guy's company and him and his employees fail in order to prove that socialism is wrong. I don't see how this is socialism, to be perfectly honest with you. Socialism, by definition means that there really is no boss, there is no owner. Everybody shares equally. And despite the fact that this guy, Mr. was it Dan Rice, Dan Price, gave himself a pay cut, doesn't mean that he's going to be living the life of a pauper. He still has his nice house, his nice car, his nice life, and his nice bank account that I'm sure he's not giving up, 99% of that anytime soon. No, you're wrong. You're wrong, Rush. You're wrong. Let's see, what else have I got before I get out of here? Here we go. Last one for the day. I'm trying to do at least one animal story per show. I'm going to try that, but this is not a fun one. Apparently, a Texas animal clinic veterinarian in rural Texas is the subject of an animal cruelty investigation after allegedly bragging on Facebook about killing a cat with a bow and arrow. Kristen Lindsay, 31 years old, of Brenham in southern Texas, appears in a photo that shows her grinning as she holds up a dead orange cat with the arrow still sticking out of it. With the caption, "My first bow kill, ... LOL." And then continues with, "The only good feral tomcat is one with an arrow through its head. Vet of the Year award gladly accepted." This is what she wrote. Now, about 75 miles away from this place in Houston, someplace northwest of Houston, there's an orange cat named Tiger that's gone missing, and they suspect that this veterinarian shot and killed their cat with a bow and arrow. Now, let's be honest now. Just because your cat, Tiger, hasn't been seen for a few days doesn't mean that he was killed by a vet 75 miles away, or that he's even dead. Could be with a neighbor getting fed, But what are the odds that the cat traveled 75 miles to get shot by a vet? Anyway, according to this quote, there's still no signs of Tiger, and his food went untouched again, reported her Facebook page. Quote, "Justice for cat murdered by Kristen Lindsay has attracted more than 30,000 followers in recent days and has received death threats towards Lindsay." Now, some have come to the defense of Lindsay, saying, quote, "All these people in the cities just don't understand what goes on in the country, and they get into an uproar. They ought to just mind their own business." Okay. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you that a lot of times an urban population will have no idea what a rural population deals with on a daily basis and how they work things out. But if you're gonna kill a cat, if you're gonna kill a cat with a bow and arrow, you're gonna kill a cat with a bow and arrow, and you're a professional veterinarian, maybe you shouldn't post pictures of it on Facebook. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying here. Maybe that's a bad idea. Just saying. And in any case, that is it for me for today. I thank you for listening, as always. So much fun. Please remember to listen tomorrow to the 420 show at 4:20 p.m. here on the Pacific Coast time. I will be getting baked on the air, and I'd like you all to join in for that. Look forward to it. It'll be my first time being stoned on the air. I get stoned a lot, and I get on the air a lot, but this will be my first time getting stoned on the air. I will come onto the show straight, and then I'll do my bong rip, and then we'll see where it takes us from there. So please listen in for that one. And that is actually it for today. I thank you for listening. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm Off the Cuff. And here's more of Papa Ross with Cobija de Amor.
¿Por qué te fuiste así tan calladamente? ¿Por qué dejaste desvestida de amor el alma? Si solo la tibieza de tu cuerpo me inspira a volver a amar. Y sufro al pensar que en otros brazos me olvidas. Sé que suspiras por mí aunque en otro lecho. Tu cuerpo es algo que yo vi crecer y cuidé con esmero. Dice que el hombre que duerme en tu cama sufre por dentro. Ella sabe
Sábado Gigante.